Hi, my name is Alec Garcia, and I am the group leader for Group 1. And today, Ansel, Noah, Jose, Jasmine, Maya, and I will be presenting Transgender Women in Sports.
Hello, my name is Jose Ceguera. For our agenda, we're going to present an introduction, which contains an overview over our topic, following a thesis statement, which explains our main argument. Additionally, we're going to provide supporting information over our thesis, a potential solution, a counter-argument to our solution, and finally, our works cited. Individuals should not be discriminated based on their race, age, or sex. I think we can all agree that everyone should have the opportunity to openly compete in sports. However, when we talk about sport competitions, there has to be some kind of fairness in the sense of performance. For example, in the Olympics, certain types of performance enhancement drugs are banned. According to an article from Insider.com, drugs such as anabolic steroids and peptide hormones, which help the body increase muscle mass and increase oxygenation in muscles, are both banned in Olympic competitions. As these drugs improve performance, the usage of them can result in athletes having an advantage against other competitors, which result in an unfair competition. We can easily connect this to male athletes' natural advantage over female athletes. Therefore, sport competitions are separated between genders. According to Duke University, there's an average of 10 to 12% performance gap between elite males and elite female athletes. When it comes to male-born transgender women competing in sports, a controversial position takes place. As an article from the New York Times states, some experts say inclusion and competitive fairness conflict as leaders consider how to regulate the athletic participation of transgender women. I believe we can all agree that transgender women should be able to openly compete, but whether or not it's fair for other female athletes remains questionable. As a group, we have come to the conclusion that transgender women should not compete against natural-born females. Since males have a greater physical advantage over females, when it comes to sports, transgender women should compete in a specific category in order to avoid unjust competition against other athletes. In the following slides, we will provide numerous information regarding males' natural advantage over females when it comes to sports. Following with slide number 5, which is named testosterone. One of the main advantages of males is the high amount of testosterone that is present in their body. As the National Institute of Health states, as quoted, testosterone is a sex hormone that plays important roles in the body. In men, it's thought to regulate sex drive, bone mass, fat distribution, muscle mass, and strength, and the production of red blood cells and sperm. In some cases, testosterone suppression has been practiced in trans women in order to provide a more fair environment in competitions. However, according to an article from the New York Times, as quoted, a 2019 Swedish study of 11 transgender women found that after a year of undergoing testosterone suppression, they experienced only a negligible decrease in strength in their thigh muscles and only a 5% loss of muscle mass. Which means that even though testosterone has decreased, they still possess nearly the same qualities of a man. Following the next slide, my partner Noah Moreno is going to present.
Hello, my name is Noah Moreno, and I will be presenting physical advantage that males have when they've gone through puberty. So, males have always had more testosterone circulating through their bodies compared to women, especially when undergoing puberty. During puberty in men, they have testosterone circulating, which includes the change in muscle mass, strength, anthropometric variables, and hemoglobin levels, according to a researcher in the sport medicine, Hilton. The muscles are denser and more extensive, which allows them to exert more muscular force more rapidly and efficiently, which is in sports is extremely useful with recovery and accuracy. People who have transitioned through puberty have managed to keep some of the muscle gain, therefore having that agility advantage. Most women in sports compete in the Olympics to test the skill of people worldwide to see who the best is at their sport is. Depending on the sport, the difference between being male and female may affect the performance outcome. The International Olympic Committee, IOC, policy states that it is necessary to ensure insofar as possible that trans athletes are not excluded from the opportunity to participate in sporting competition. Even through trans women who have gone through male puberty participate in women's sports. This should not mean that they should be excluded from competing in the women's sports category. They are instead finding methods that will allow participating to join by undergoing some type of suppressants to lower the male's performance advantage. To be eligible to compete in women's sports, trans must have testosterone suppressions below 10 nanomoles for at least 12 months before competing, according to the IOC. These procedures will affect the sports such as Olympic weightlifting, where the weight difference between males and females is significant. The performance gap is between 31% and 37% across the range of competitive body weights between 1998 and 2020, according to the information gathered in Hilton's research 2021. This will be bringing even the ground for competitors safely and provide weightlifters with a way to compete with relatively the same weight and not making it a huge difference. Now, this will help reducing the muscular aspect of the testosterone taken, but testosterone will not influence any of the skeletal sizes despite the reduction of testosterone. There still will be a height difference, and that advantage will probably lead to advantages in sports such as basketball, volleyball, and handball, according to Harper 2021. At the same time, there are some attempts to reduce the benefits of men who have transitioned to female. It is only partially a way to reduce all men's advantages. As mentioned earlier, such as bones, men will still be able to repair more quickly compared to the women, making them less likely for things such as knee injury to occur. That's due to the way that the skeletal system is in the body and the bones being denser and easily more advantage to repair. But this will really just bring an even ground, and we suggest having different categories for trans to compete just in case suppressions are not enough to help reduce some of the male advantages in their bodies. Now, suppressions may not be enough to stop completely the advantages that males have when they are going through puberty. They will still maintain most of that muscle unless otherwise. But I also provided a graph showing the different sports categories that males typically have an advantage in. Some of these sports range from rowing, swimming, track running, all the way to things such as baseball, pitches, and field hockey drag flick. These are all ranges that males have more of an advantage in. I just wanted to provide this graph to show the drastic differences of how much more males have an advantage in, and if they maintain that strength after transitioning. This is why we can see why some females do not like it when trans women compete in women's categories, because it is not giving them that fair advantage since they've maintained almost all their muscle and any characteristics that they had when they were men, they still have as women. I'll transition it over to Alec, who is on the next slide.
Continuing from physical advantages, boys and girls' testosterone levels have been proven to be around the same percentage in early childhood and pre-puberty stages. Once puberty begins to take course, the testosterone levels in boys skyrocket compared to that of the girls. As seen in the graph located in the bottom right corner, age 10 is where we can really see the testosterone levels split and create a gap between the two genders. Once in adulthood, men have shown to have 15 to 20 times greater circulating testosterone than women. The levels of testosterone in men are because of the amount produced by the testes. Male testes are proven to produce 30 times more testosterone in adulthood and 15 times more pre-puberty. Now, why might testosterone levels be important, you ask? Simply put, testosterone is one of the main steroid hormones that stimulate development of muscle size and strength. With that said, the increase in testosterone in men lead to men being, on average, taller, stronger, faster, and having larger bone and muscle density. Furthermore, men have an increase in muscle fiber numbers and size, muscle satellite cell numbers, number of myonuclei, and size of motor neurons. Testosterone increases neurotransmitters, which in turn enhances tissue growth, affecting everything stated previously. An increase in nuclear receptors allows protein synthesis to occur more often and at a faster rate. Protein synthesis is the process of making protein, which in turn builds muscle. By women having lower testosterone levels and a lower abundance of protein synthesizers and endure a slower rate of protein synthesis, women have found themselves having 50 to 60% of men's upper arm muscle cross-sectional area, 65 to 70% of men's thigh muscle cross-sectional area, 50 to 60% of men's upper limb strength, and 60 to 80% of men's leg strength. These numbers are highlighting the size differences and strength differences between men and women in adulthood. Please note that these numbers were taken from non-athletes, meaning both the men and women measured were patients with a normal, healthy lifestyle. In conclusion, the difference in testosterone levels makes a significant difference biologically. The higher levels of testosterone in men have proven to give men an advantage over women when it comes to physical traits such as size and strength. Due to testosterone having a major impact on our bodies and highlighting its importance when speaking on an athletic level, the controversial question must be asked: is it fair to include transgender women in women-based sports?
As queer people have gained more acceptance in various communities throughout the world, there has been an uptick in conversations about how to accommodate those who don't fit into traditional, hetero, or cis-normative boxes. Transgender athletes' right to compete against other athletes has long been a contentious topic. Most recently, veteran tennis pro Martina Navratilova stated that it is, quote, insane and cheating to allow transgender women to participate in women's categories. She was quickly condemned for being transphobic, but her opinion is not uncommon. The argument against trans athletes is straightforward. Men and women compete in different categories because of the inherent physical differences between them. For this reason, fairness is an incredibly important virtue. All the athletes should start on as level a playing field as possible so that the winner is truly the strongest or fastest or most skilled of them all. In sports, this unchecked biological advantage can be dangerous. For example, in a UFC match, Fallon Fox, as pictured on the right, a trans woman fighter, overpowered her opponent Tamika Brents and broke Brents' skull. Fallon Fox knows what it's like to be the focus of rumors and hearsay. She is a mixed martial arts MMA fighter and the first openly trans athlete in the sport's history. This sparked a great amount of controversy and debate in the sports community where cis women may have become disadvantaged in their own category, but this is the, quote, price of equality, as said by Freeman. This debate on who transgender athletes should be allowed to compete against reveals the wedge between biological sense and gender identity. As a society, our acceptance of transgender individuals is particularly challenged and contradicted in our responses to trans athletes. While sporting regulations are catching up to become more trans-inclusive, we should remember that trans athletes, at the end of the day, are athletes too. They, just like any other athlete, have dedicated their bodies to pursuing excellence in their sports and have pushed themselves to their limits. And that should be worthy of recognition, which goes back to support our proposed solution of transgender women competing in their own transgender scoring category. Now shifting to Jasmine with more examples of transgender women in sports.
My name is Jasmine, and I'll be talking about Leah Thomas as an example of trans women in sports. Leah Thomas is a transgender swimmer who has dominated women's swim and has caused a lot of people to judge and question whether or not it was a fair race due to her taking medication that is to depress testosterone levels due to her transitioning from man to women. A lot of controversy surrounded this particular swimmer due to them competing in men's swimming from 2017 to 2020. And later, after transitioning from man to women, she competed in 2021 for women's swim. And that resulted them being the first transgender athlete to win an NCAA Division I national championship. Although she takes the medication to suppress testosterone levels, people still believe she had an advantage, that the medication did not fully work.
The solution for transgender women would be the women's sports umbrella, which supports testosterone-based transgender women who like to compete in the transgender scoring category. Not only will this solution provide inclusivity for the minority identities of many women,
but it will also suppress the wave of oppression and helps transgender women play on an equal playing field. The image below depicts a transgender umbrella, which refers to people who are not associated with their primary gender at birth. This correlates with the connection between transgender people in sports because the representation of transgender women is significantly high, especially when it connects back to the concepts of inclusivity and minority groups. In the end, competing under the women's sports umbrella, WSU, will not only provide zero restrictions on any transgender woman, but it will ensure that every transgender woman can compete in a safe and equal environment for them and everyone else around them.
On the other side of the spectrum is the counter argument. By allowing transgender women to compete in women's sports, we are creating more of an inclusive society among the athletic realm and giving these transgender women an equal opportunity to compete in both of the genders they identify as and in the sports they love. Furthermore, some state that no playing field is equally fair. Whether it be team sports or one-on-one sports, one of the competitors is always going to have the advantage over the other, whether it be height, strength, speed, etc. So what's the difference when it comes from transgender women competing against women? If in the athletic realm, there's always going to be disadvantages and advantages towards one, how is it that the transgender women versus women is any different? With that, many transgender women take testosterone inhibitors, allowing for their man-like testosterone levels to drop to that of a woman. By doing so, they're closing that gap within their testosterone levels, as spoken about previously, and creating a more equal opportunity for both sides. One isn't going to be as strong, as fast, or as quick, and the other isn't going to be at such a disadvantage that it's not fair.
We believe the solution would best fit this controversial topic so that these athletes can compete with others that are in the same situation as them. Arguments about whether or not the athlete deserves to win based on them having or not having testosterone in their bodies will no longer come up. The athletes would be able to compete at peace and be free of judgment on their capabilities of the sport they are in.